All around us, right now, there's a massive conversation happening, and it's one we can't hear. It's this hidden world of warnings, of collaboration, and secret networks. So today, we're going to tune in to the secret language of plants.
We tend to think of plants as, well, kind of passive, right? They're just these silent fixtures in our world. They grow, they bloom, they just exist. But what if I told you they are constantly talking to each other, warning their neighbors, and even working together in ways we're only just starting to figure out?
Okay, so let's start with one of the most dramatic ways they communicate, what some scientists literally call a chemical scream for help. It's a message sent not with sound, but with smell.
Now, the scientific term for this is allopathy, which, let's be honest, is basically a form of chemical warfare. Plants release this whole cocktail of biochemicals to defend their turf, to keep competitors at bay, and, most importantly, to send out these crucial messages. So, picture this. A hungry caterpillar starts munching on a leaf. That plant doesn't just sit there and take the hit. Oh, no. It releases a specific blend of airborne chemicals, these volatile organic compounds, or VOCs. The plant next door can literally smell this warning signal, and even before that caterpillar gets anywhere near it, it starts pumping out its own defensive chemicals to make its leaves taste awful, or even poisonous.
And this is a perfect illustration of that whole process. You can see the plant under attack, sending out these signals into the air. They travel, they get picked up by its neighbors, and bam, those neighbors switch on their own defenses. It's incredible. A single warning shot can put the entire neighborhood on high alert.
And they've got multiple ways to get the message out, too. Volatilization, that's the airborne scream we just talked about, but they also send signals when rain washes chemicals off their leaves into the soil or directly through their roots. And get this, even from their own decomposing bodies after they die. It's this complex, invisible information superhighway.
But the conversation isn't just happening up in the air. Actually, some of the most mind-blowing communication happens right under our feet, in a network that's been nicknamed the Wood Wide Web.
The groundbreaking work of forest ecologist Suzanne Simard is what really blew the doors open on this. She uncovered this bustling, hidden world and showed us that a forest is so much more than a bunch of individual trees. It's a deeply connected community.
Her research just completely shattered the old way of thinking. We used to see forests as these brutal arenas where every tree was in a fight to the death for sunlight and water. But it turns out collaboration is just as important, maybe even more so. And the secret ingredient here? It's a type of fungi, mycorrhizal fungi. These fungi weave this enormous living web that links the root systems of different trees together. It acts like a biological internet, and through this network, trees can send each other vital resources like carbon, water, and other nutrients.
At the heart of these networks are what Simard calls mother trees. These are the giants of the forest, the oldest and largest trees that act as central hubs. We're talking trees connected to hundreds of others. They actively nurture the little seedlings growing in their shade, sending them extra nutrients to help them survive. They can even pass on defense signals, sort of like wisdom, to the next generation. It's incredible.
Okay, so we've covered chemicals through the air and fungi underground. But, believe it or not, the communication doesn't stop there. Some of the newest discoveries are showing that plants can also perceive and maybe even create sound.
Just think about this number for a second. Over 20,000 different kinds of plants have developed this really fascinating way to protect their pollen. And it's a strategy that depends entirely on them responding to a very specific sound vibration. It's called buzz pollination. For these plants, their pollen is basically locked up tight. The only key is a bee grabbing onto the flower and vibrating its flight muscles at just the right frequency, like a secret password. The flower hears this specific buzz, and only then does it release its pollen. No buzz, no pollen.
And it gets even wilder. The beech evening primrose has been shown to actually listen for the sound of an approaching bee. Within just 3 minutes of sensing the vibrations from a bee's wings, it sweetens its nectar by a whopping 20%. It's basically saying, hey, I hear you coming, here's a little extra treat for you.
And amazingly, it seems to be a two-way street. Plants don't just listen. They might also make their own sounds. Researchers have actually recorded these ultrasonic clicks coming from the roots of young corn plants. We have no idea what they're saying yet, but it tells us plants aren't just listeners in this world, they might just be talkers too. So what does this all add up to? Well, it means we have to completely reimagine our relationship with the plant world.
They aren't just part of the scenery. They are active, complicated, and essential players in the ecosystem.
We're really moving away from this old idea of plants as passive, isolated things. We're starting to understand them as dynamic, communicating beings. They form these complex social networks, they help each other out, and they are actively sensing and responding to the world around them in ways we're just beginning to grasp.
And look, this isn't just a fun biology lesson. This has huge real-world implications. If we can understand these natural networks, we can create better, more sustainable ways to farm and manage our forests by working with these ancient communication systems instead of just plowing right through them.
And that really leaves us with this final, amazing question. We've just started to tune our ears to this silent symphony that's been playing all around us. As we get better at listening, who knows what else we'll discover they've been saying to each other, and maybe even to us this whole time.